Assalamualaikum and a very good morning to all the viewers and the panelists on this glorious day. I am Nur Izzati as your moderator. Today we will be talking about teen marriage. Is it good or bad? Recently, a woman has uploaded some videos about the wedding of a young couple through the TikTok app. According to the woman, her nephew, who is also the bride, has just turned 50 years old and her partner is 70 years old. The video has spread and received various reaction and comments from netizens. Without any further, today our beautiful and good-looking panelists that expert in this field are invited. Let me introduce our first panel, Dr. Fazlina, a consultant clinical psychologist and child psychologist or marriage counselor. On her side, we have Madam Wan Ilya Tasnim, a counselor from SMK Srihatamas. Next, we have Madam Nushaira from Women Ministers and Family Development. And the last one, Madam Anis Nadra, an influencer and experienced mother. More than 150,000 Malaysians between the age of 15 and 19 were married. According to the most recent census, many more are even younger. So without wasting our time, to the first panel, Madam Ilya, you as a counselor, can you explain more about teen marriage?
Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. Thank you, Ms. Moderator, for the time. Good morning, ladies and gentlemen. In this gold opportunity, I would like to tell you about child marriage. First of all, what is child marriage? What is teen marriage? Teen marriage is a union of two teenage ranging in the age of 13 to 19 who are joined in marriage. Base Marriage and Divorce Act 1976. Any marriage to be solemnized in Malaysia shall be void if one of them is under of age of 18 years unless female who has completed her 16 years authorized by a license granted by Chief Minister. According to neuroscience research, that the brain is not fully matured until person is 25. It means that a person cannot be labeled as a mature functioning adult until this age. This can disturb growing process and not develop into maturity at optimum level, and they are psychological unstable. The teen marriage affect not only sexual maturation, it also affect the development of secondary sexual characteristics such as breast development. Breast development take place much earlier and more adolescent girls often look like young lady long before they reach mental maturity. Consequently, this girl may feel that they are old enough to start with sexual activity. Although sexual freedom and sexual pattern among these girls differ according to culture and their religious background, we have to be aware that today nearly half of global population is less than 25 years old. Even the generation of adolescent, that is individual between 10 to 19 years, is largest. An increasing number of teenage tend to develop increased interest in sexual activities, and consequently, we face with increasing rate of sexual transmitted disease, including HIV and AIDS. A few reports state that earlier exposed to sexual activities has close relationship to develop of cancer cervix, and might as well has high chance of spreading if they involved in unsafe sexual activities. Teenage pregnancy was seen as a special problem. Teenage pregnancy is labeled alongside obesity, diabetes, cardiovascular disease, and cancer. It rated as a high-risk category and major public health. Therefore, in developed countries, teenage pregnancy and teenage motherhood were no longer seen as medical risk, but a social problem. Teenage motherhood is significantly associated with dropping out of school, low education level, low income, poverty, and single parenting. To all teenagers out there, think carefully the psychological effect. I have come to my conclusion. Early marriage is actually not encouraging to be practiced. That's all. I thank you.
Thank you for the long explanations, Melinda. From what Oshi said, we can see that there's a lot of side effects from the teen marriage. Next, to Dr. Fazina, what do you think about this issue and why teenagers can involve in this kind of situation?
Thank you to our moderator, Ms. Izati, and welcome to all the viewers. Hi and good morning. Let's discuss the teen marriage issue. As we know, young generation today rush into marriage without even understanding what they are getting into. Marriage is a lifetime commitment which teenagers don't take it seriously. Instead of just talking about how much fun it will be life together, I want to talk about the aspect of daily life that won't be so much fun and how to deal with that. Some teens want to get married because they feel that it will give them more control over their partner to crush a lot of jealousy issues. Various, re- various reasons leading to teen marriage would be pregnancy, freedom, religion, living together, and so on. As a consequence of which, teenagers serve to be a problem when a couple has disagreement over money, over children, and also physical or mental abuse. Me as psychologist have heard a lot of news about this issue. What I want to emphasize on this issue is about mental health to the couple. This will lead to unhealthy mental health. As we can see, today youngsters are married young, but their marriage doesn't last as long. I could give you all an example. There's couple married at age of 17, but they are divorced at age of 19. Their marriage lasts for just 2 years after they realized that their love for each other was just a toast. In my opinion, they should not have thought of marriage at that age. Both of them busy in their own life and both had decided on future goals. Neither of them had thought of getting married at 17. They took such a step because they thought they were in love and should just go ahead and take an extra step to get married. From my observation, the cause of why teenage marriage is not a good idea is because of financial problem. We are living in an era that required money to move anything, so as we know, most teenagers are totally broke. It is because they are the jobless and only hope for help from their parents. As we can see, a teen needs their parents to provide stability in their turbulent life. When someone gets married, they are totally not their parents' responsible anymore. It has to be their own responsibility to find the money for their family. So that why it is totally not a good idea for teenagers to get married unless they have their own business and stable financial status. It is also to make sure there are no issues between a partner in the future that can ruin their marriage. Other than that, cause of why teenage marriage is not a good idea is because of lack of experience. Teenagers are still young and soft to adapt to a big problem. Whenever they can find a solution, to their problem, they will act first without thinking about the effect of the decision they have made, and end up it will bring to divorce. As a psychologist, I know that most teenage marriage fail because because people at this age are still immature to make the most important decision like marriage. I am not saying that getting married at such a young age is wrong. What I am against are the reasons which one chooses to get married. The reasons mentioned earlier are not enough. It depends on how the couple handles their marriage. It is not all the marriage at a young age was unhappy. Some marriage works and some don't. Today's generation live their life differently. Many marriages between the age of 16 until 21 usually don't last very long. The reason is nothing but the rush of the marriage without realizing the outcome of it. For example, when teenagers under the age of 18 get married, they are just leaving their parents' care and not accustomed to taking care of themselves. Such as paying bills, groceries, car insurance, and so on. Money is the most common which leads to divorce among young adults. Things change when one gets married. To conclude, never rush into marriage if you are not ready. Otherwise, the worst is the future. The happiness of the marriage may not last long when one understands and recognizes the consequence of it. Marry at young have their own pros and cons, but the teenager has to be smart in making a decision. That's all from me. Thank you.
Thank you, Dr. Fazina. So we can summarize that marriage is something that need to take seriously and everyone should prepare themselves before taking the next step. Next, I would like to invite Madam Shaira. Madam Shaira, you as a mother, what do you think about teen marriage? And if your children are in this situation, would you allow them to do so? Do you agree? Give your opinion.
Thanks to our moderator, Ms. Izati. It is an honor for me to participate in this panel discussion. There are many factors that lead to teen marriage. Firstly, poverty is a major force behind child marriage around the world. A girl may be married because parents cannot afford to pay her school fees and basic supplies. Across our region, children living in poverty are the most vulnerable to child marriage, and girls from the poorest family are 3 times more likely to marry before age 18 than a girls from the wealthy family. Where poverty is acute, giving a daughter in marriage allows parents to reduce their expenses by ensuring they have one less person to feed, clothe, and educate. Families may also see investing in their child education as more worldwide investment. In some cases, marriage a daughter is a way to repay debt, manage dispute, or settle social, economic, and political alliance. The main argument here is if early marriage will end poverty in this family. Next, my point is insecurity. Many parents marry their daughter young because feel it is in the best interest of them to ensure a safety in an area where girls are at high risk of harassment and physical or sexual assault. Child marriage can increase in humanitarian crises such as in conflict or after a natural disaster. When families face even greater hardship, they may see child marriage as a coping mechanism in the face of poverty and violence. 9 of the 10 countries with the highest child marriage rate as considered fragile states. Social and religious tradition also contribute to teen marriage. In many areas, it is a norm to marry children young. Peer pressure can force parents into marrying their children and can place pressure on young girls to conform to marriage risk. Being viewed as a nasty, disrespectful girl, the fear of pregnancy outside marriage is also a major driver, and early marriage is seen a way to safeguard against perceived immoral behavior. My fourth point is gender equality. Gender inequality is the social process by which boys and girls are not treated as equal. This is because girls are not valued as much as boys. They are seen a burden on their family. Marrying daughter at a young age can be viewed as a way to ease economic hardship by transferring this burden to her husband family. Lastly, gaps in the law and failure of law enforcement. A lack of strong, effective legislation protecting girls or creating a minimum age of marriage is a key factor. However, even when there are laws in place, law enforcement may not reach into rural areas, may not have the training to deal with cases of forced or underage marriage, or may not view it as their responsibility to interfere with family affairs. Corruption in the system can also allow perpetrators to pay money to delay or avoid court procedure. Why do parents do not agree with teen marriage? This is because teen marriage gives back effect to their children. Girls married are more likely to experience violence, abuse, and forced sexual relation due to unequal power relation. They are more vulnerable to sexual transmitted infection. Girls who are married also are unlikely to be in school because they have huge responsibility at a such young age, require teenagers to sacrifice their teenagers' life and freedom to explore their new experience that the world has to offer. They lost their teenage years and children right to enjoy. As teens get married with permanent career and little education, their life journey will be tougher than they expect. They will face a lot of responsibility which they will not be mature enough to handle. The job that they hold will not provide them enough money, causing them to work extra time or do another part-time job. When teens have too much on their plate, they will focus less on each other. That is when they start to put blame on each other and bicker regularly. Other than that, girls under 15 are 5 times more likely to die in childbirth than women in their 20s and face higher risk of pregnancy-related injuries such as obstetric fistula. The negative consequences of child marriage reach beyond the girls themselves. Children of child brides are 60% more likely to die in the first year of life than those born to mother older than 19. And families of child brides are more likely to be poor and unhealthy. That's all for me. Thank you.
Thank you, Madam Shaira. From that point, we can see that some parents will allow and some wouldn't allow their children to do so. It is depends on their perspective and beliefs. Next, I would like to welcome Mrs. Anis Nadra to share her experience of teenage marriage and all the obstacles she went through during her tenure as a wife at young age.
Thank you to our moderator, Ms. Izati. Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh, and hello IB to the respected panels and our viewers today. As a person who has experience with teen marriage, I partially agree that teen marriage is a reasonable choice because there are much challenges and obstacles that you need to go through before and after the marriage. I think it depends on the persons. Teen marriage is not as simple and easy way as what we think. The teenagers need to think further and explore more details about the real life of being married young before they make the choice. It is not just about loving each other, but they need to ask themselves if is it okay for them. Are they really ready for it? They must look further on the other aspect like the responsibilities, the commitments, the preparation of mental and physical states, career, studies, timing, financial issues, maturity in handling situations, acceptance of family members, and the list goes on. Personally, I did not think I would go this far as I did for the past incredible years. For me, teen marriage teaches me a lot and gives me something of an anomaly these days. There are actually some distinct benefits to do so, even though getting married as teen is not for everyone. Some of the benefits that I got was to be more successful in reaching my career and academic goals. Many of us usually don't see these things. When my husband and I got hitched, I was 19 and he was 24. I'm still pursuing my studies and already had a side income from his part-time business. To add to that, he has a full-time business and started to grow enormously and profited tremendously. At that moment, it can be a difficult time for me because I'm also trying to balance my studies and my part-time work, trying to get my finance in shapes, working to get handles on my new responsibilities, and figuring out and launching my career. Having a spouse by my side during that time made my life easier and more successful in a couple's key ways. First, my spouse was a vital support as I finished my studies and embarked on a career. During my undergrad years,
He edited my papers and helped me study and perform well on my final exam. These things made me wonder that I could have made it through by myself, but having my certainly loving spouse as my pillar of strength made it a lot of easier. Teen marriage also help you reach your career and academic goals by providing for stabilities and fostering focus. Socializing and dating require a lot of time, money, and emotional bandwidth. When you have found your partner in crime, you are able to save your money and direct your energy towards your other life goals. Indeed, study shows that married men in their 20s work harder than their single peers. Other than that, when you are younger, you are going to naturally have less baggage than when you are older. Collecting baggage is just given when it comes to going through life. So, for couples who getting married young, they are bringing less baggage into the relationships. Less time spent singles mean less assets, mean less baggage, mean less stress in the relationships. Next, that's not to say that the fine times and once you get married, those there is prevalent my doubt that teen marriage will prevent you from doing cool stuff like traveling the world or starting any business. On the contrary, having a spouse to pursue these activities, we can make such adventures both more enjoyable and easier to execute. I traveled far more after I got married than I had as a single girl. I can enjoy many crazy moments together, traveling together, earn new experience, and don't hurry to raise children at once. There is enough time for two second halves to enjoy each other before they decide to have children. They have enough time to plan everything. Moreover, my financial picture may improve. A lot of folks put off marriage until they feel their finances are sound, which in today's world is a goal that harder and harder to achieve. As we saw above, financial issues can indeed put a strain on a teen's marriage. Yet such challenges can be handled with maturity, and what may be stressful in the short terms can towards your long-term interest. Research shows that getting married can significantly improve your financial pictures. According to Alex Roberts at the UVA's National Marriage Project, those whose marriage sees income increases of 50 to 100% and net wealth increase of about 400 to 600%. Continuously married households had about double the income and four times the net worth of the continuously divorced and never married on average. Marriage also allows spouses to pool their resources together. Furthermore, the most important point is marriage encourages accountability and fiscal responsibilities. Your priorities change when you are no longer only looking out for yourself. The point people miss is that marriage is a tremendous wealth building institution. Folks are waiting to get married until their finances improve, but getting married could improve their finances. Last but not least, you can figure out the tough stuff early. When you get married early, you have spent a decade or two looking forward to how perfect marriage is going to be when you get there. You still might have expectation, but they won't have the weight of years of hope behind them. That's way, it's easier to shoulder when life takes your expectations, spin them upside down, and smack them into the sidewalks. This clearly make it much easier to roll with life punches and learn lessons about life, relationship, and marriage ways earlier than the most other people do. In a nutshell, I agree that teen marriage can give a lot of pros compared to the cons if the person is prepared mentally and physically towards the challenges and obstacles that will continuously come in their way. If the couple help each other and have each other's backs, their life will be made easier and harmonious. Teen marriage can reflect positivity and responsibility to the youth and will expose them to the better choice in their future. That's all for me. Thank you.
Thank you, Mrs. Anis. What an amazing experience about teen marriage. Actually, there is more question that I want to ask to our panelists and share to our viewers since time is running. I will conclude from our discussion that teen marriage could happen to anyone depending on moral beliefs and if you are ready for any consequence afterwards. This means that teen marriage is a big step in a person's life and isn't something young kids can just run into. This is important because young people need to know the different consequences on teen marriage. They need to know why teens shouldn't get married and how important is it to wait until you are really ready for such a big commitment. Also, they need to learn about the outcome of the teen marriage because most of the time it won't turn out in their favor. However, they might not be completely happy and satisfied with their decision because they are way too young to tell. That's all from us. Thank you for watching.